Hello, time travelers. You got to check out what I figured out how to do in Stable Diffusion. So check it out. This is Charlize Theron from the movie Mad Max Fury Road. Here she is from another movie called Aeon Flux. And this is an image I generated with AI. And here's Zooey Deschanel from one of my top 10 movies of all time, Elf. And here she is from Failure to Launch. And here's an image I generated. Here's Katie Sackhoff, one of my favorite sci-fi actresses. This is a picture from the awesome show, The Mandalorian. And here she is from a movie called Riddick. And there's an image I generated. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to train what's called an embedding in Stable Diffusion in automatic1111, and you can use that embedding in any model. So for example, I'm looking at civitai.com here. Look at all these models. That means that I could apply any person's face to any one of these models. I'm going to make this video as short as possible, but I am going to be showing you a bunch of tricks to both save you time and increase the quality of the embeddings. If while watching the video you see a trick that you know that I didn't mention, please tell me in the comments thingy what's it, so that then I also know and other people know. And I'm going to do this whole video without mispronouncing words like copy or parameters. Because this one guy, I watch most of his videos and he says copy and parameters. And it's so distracting! And this other guy that I watch all the time, he has a thick accent, but then he pushes it through an AI voice, and you hear the AI voice in that, like, that grainy, crunchy robot sound. I can't stand that! You YouTubers know who you are. I watch your videos, and I learned everything I know from watching your videos, plus my own research and testing, so I know you can do better. Please. Please. This is my look of disapproval. So here's a question. Look at this, and tell me which one you think was something I found on the internet, and which ones of these are ones that I've generated? Can you tell? Like, is this one that I generated? they're all AI generated. Even this Barbie doll looking one. What about these? Which ones are real and which ones are AI generated? Well, it's normalization data that happens when you're training. It looks weird, but it comes out good at the end. What about these? Which ones of these are real pictures and which ones are ones that I found off the internet and downloaded? Can you guess? Can you tell? Trick question. They're all AI generated. What about these anime looking pictures? These are all AI generated. Hey, this is me from the future! Because I needed to split this video up. If you haven't seen my previous video, of how to get set up to do embeddings, please watch that video first. Or just watch this one if you've been using automatic1111 on your computer for a while. You probably know what you're doing. Now the next section is about gathering images of the person's that has a face you want to train. I'm going to do Amber Mid Thunder. So let's go to images.google.com and type Amber Mid Thunder. She was in a recent movie, a really good movie called Prey. It's a movie with the Predator, but set probably a couple hundred years ago. There were muskets. There were bad guys shooting people with muskets in this movie. And then she was also in Legion, which is a X-Men story. Pretty cool, huh? Just start grabbing some pictures. We don't want this one because her hand's in front of her face and a microphone would have to be cropped out. Make a new folder, Amber Mid Thunder. Go in there. And by the way, the new folder button is Control-Shift-N. And make a new folder inside of there and name that Original Pics. Oh, and that's a WebP file. Good, I already have Gimp open so I can convert it. Stupid WebP files. Drag that into Gimp. And then just hit Control-Shift-E, that's your shortcut for export. Go to the end and type PNG and hit Enter. Wait for that, press Enter. And if a third one comes up, hit Enter for that. It's the only program I know of that all you have to do is type the extension of the file and it saves it without having you change drop-downs. So let's delete this old one and check out this PNG that I made from that. That's really good. It's got film grain. That's legit. It shows me something. Look at this. Type IMDb after the name and you can get some pictures off of IMDb when IMDb and other sites like Pinterest won't let you get the pictures. The freaking commies. Let me show you what I mean. Like here I am on IMDb. Oh, I want this picture. Oh, you're showing me the pictures. Right click. Save page. I don't want to save page. What? Oh, you wouldn't want this picture anyway because the makeup's covering too much of the face. But look, if I hit right click and hit inspect, you like move your mouse around and try to find that picture to where it becomes highlighted in blue, and then expand it and find its URL in... Screw that! All that garbage. Just use Google image search to take them. Now this one I'm not even going to take because I can tell how grainy it is. JPEG artifacts and all that. There's a better one. Save that one. So we don't want this one because there's something covering her face. And you don't want any pictures that have other people in there. So if the other person's like far away, you can crop them out with Gimp. That's the super tiny one. You don't want those tiny ones because you need them to be at least 512 by 512. You don't want anything with watermarks in front of it like that. You don't want anything blown out and super bright or super dark. Like this one, it's not going to help you at all. Now let's change this to Pinterest. See if I see anything. That looks like it might be promising. Now she's got her hand on her face, but her face is turned the other way. So if you get one with the face turned the other way, but no hand on the face, it might be good. Let's try that one. Another site you want to try is Flickr. Get stuff off of their server that way. Microphone in front of her face, no. I might be able to crop out the microphone on that one. What the That's not Amber Mid Thunder. You can also take the name of a movie or show for your Google image search. You don't want that. There's too much of that fuchsia going on, I guess. You can keep an eye on how many files you have. I've got 13 here. I want 20 by the time I'm done. And another type of file you want to look for is HD wallpapers. Look for the word wallpapers down here in the link. Right click that, hit T to open a new tab. So here's a wallpaper page, but that's too blurry. That has been upscaled, I can tell. I don't want that. This one's good. Shut up about archery lessons. You're not in this scene. Download wallpaper. Gimme. Steals. Look how grainy that is. Don't want. Now I want to hit Alt and View and then large icons in File Explorer. Hopefully Windows 11 still has that up there so you can do that. And you look in here to make sure you don't have any duplicates, like two pictures from different websites or something. You open these up. Oh, 236 by 354. I might be able to double this and get rid of some of this graininess. We'll check. Run web UI-vanilla.bat. For the upscaling, it doesn't matter if you have Xformers and all that on, but there are upscalers that we can use in some cases to make a grainy picture look better. This one, I can already tell it won't because it's too blown out. So I'm gonna hit delete on my keyboard in Irfanview and it deletes it off the hard drive. It still shows it on Irfanview, but it's gone. That one looks good. And you can see the resolution down here in the corner. That's why I love Irfanview. 481 by 641. I'm going to try to upscale this one because it's really close to 512 pixels. You want at least 512 pixels wide and tall with the person's face. But you can see there's some JPEG artifacts in here we're going to try to get rid of. So in Stable Diffusion, we're going to go to the Extras tab, Single Image, drag the picture over. Okay, I can actually compare these three, and I'm going to actually try this realistic rescaler that I found during filming this video. See how that turns out. And you want to change the resize to 2 in this case, because we're trying to get to 512 by 512, and that's going to double this. And in this case, I might be able to get away with a 1.5, but we're going to try 2. You don't want to go too much because then it'll just look faded out and kind of like washed out. Codeformer visibility, put 0.7, and then for codeformer weight, put 1, and hit generate. And this looks like it's doing nothing. You got this 2 orange things that dance around each other and these numbers that go up, but then all of a sudden it's done. And look, the memory, it's using about 5 gigs of VRAM to do this. And no, you can keep an eye on it by watching the console of Stable Diffusion. Oh, it was downloading something. Interesting. Right click this, open a new tab. No, I don't like that very much. So let's try the faces one. Generate. See how fast that goes? If you already have the model downloaded, I guess. Right click, open a new tab. See how good that looks? And let's go ahead and try this super scale one. Look at that. That's a super scale, and that's the other one. They look very, very similar. It would take me a ton of time to figure out which one's better than the other one. And I want to overwrite this other one, so I'll go up here in the address bar, Control C, right click this and hit V to save. That's in Firefox. The hotkey might be different in your browser. Control V, now I'm in that folder. And I'll hit F2 on this, copy its name, Go like that. Hit enter. Now I have two right next to each other so I can compare. It's bigger, 962 by 1182, and it's got no graininess at all. So if I zoom in on the old JPEG and then hit the little arrow to go to the new one and zoom in on that, it's gotten rid of that graininess. But you want to make sure it doesn't look all washed out. And I just remembered this other site, themoviedb.org. I'll put that in the descriptor what's-its for you guys. You go there, and if this loads in Chinese, it does that for me sometimes. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. Just put in the celebrity name. Mid Thunder, hit enter, and then you hit the person's picture, and then go to media, or if it's in Chinese, the second one down, and then hit profiles. Now this is good, two of the same, from the same photo shoot, but different angles. I just right click and hit the letter T to open them all in a new tab. And some celebrities got a whole bunch in here. They can get most of your pictures done. Now this one's grainy a little bit, but the resolution's high at 800 by 1200. So let's upscale it without changing the size. Drop your picture in, change the resize down to 1, hit generate. Here's the PNG. Here's the JPEG. PNG, JPEG. PNG, JPEG. Beautiful, glossy looking photo, trash. And it's interesting that the other picture from the same photo set does not look as grainy. I'm going to leave that one alone. So this next section is about cropping. You're going to need about 16 pictures of just a portrait, so like just your face or whatever, and then 2 or 3 like this, just mid-frame, I think it's called, and then full body frame, which you don't actually need the feet in there. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You go in your folder and click in an open space, like right there. And then hit Control A and drag it over into this site I have linked in the description called Birme. And then you take your width and your height and you change them to 512 and you size them up. But you're noticing like, wait, does that look grainy? You know, oh, that's super small. I don't want that, delete. So delete that one. And this one I would want to crop in on the face. So let's find it in here and throw this into Gimp. You click this one right here. It's the second one over. If it looks like it has the ellipse, then click the rectangle select, and you just draw a square by dragging the mouse. And then after you've started drawing the square, you hold down Shift and it makes a square. So you know what your square is going to look like. And then I know the hotkeys to crop, which is Image, Crop to Selection. But all I do is hit Alt-I-C. And then I look at the resolution up here. That's still pretty big resolution. Hit Control-Shift-E to export. Control-W, Tab, space. Closes it. This one looks like Birme is going to have a trouble getting just her face because it's going to make a square that's this big. Of course, showing the shoulders would be good, and that's a nice clear picture, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Let's go back to Birme, see how we're doing. No, this microphone one, I got to get rid of that microphone. Oh, if you ever see this when importing a picture into Gimp, just hit convert. Let's crop out that microphone. Alt-I-C. That'll work. Control-Shift-Enter, Enter, Enter. Control-W, Tab, space. Now I've deleted a couple duplicates out of here, and I was under 20, so I went back and found some more pictures off the internets. I'm going to go back to Birme and hit this button down here that says Remove All, and then drag all these back in. Make sure this is 512 by 512, because that's what you have to train the images in. And I'm going to frame her up in all of the pictures by dragging the little things around. Hit Save as Zip. Save it there. And in case I ever train a SD 2.1 model on this later, I'm going to make a 768 one as well. Save as Zip. Now we're going to be doing all the steps to actually create the embedding. And just in case I ran webui-user.bat, I closed my browser, and I'm going to terminate this. I'm going to put in webui-vanilla.bat, hit enter. And now we're going to create an embedding. And this is the embedding file that we're going to train our model on. Go to the Train tab, and then create an embedding, and name it after the person you want it to look like. Mid-Thunder 512, because I'm going to be using the version 1.5, which needs training images of 512 by 512. Number of vectors per token in this case is going to be 5. I'm going to show you where this information comes from. This is a Reddit article. I have linked in the description. It's below. A lot of people think that the vectors are directly aligned with the number of input images that you're training the model with. It's not really that, but if you have less than 10, it's 2 to 3, 5 to 6, it's 10 to 30. Here, you can read it yourself. You can pause the video or you can click the link in the description, but it's not really that. If you go to this GitHub article that I read some of, and you guys can read if you want, number of vectors per token, that's the size of the embedding file itself. The larger this value, the more information about the subject you can fit into the embedding. So like more keywords, like I was talking about earlier when we were fixing the prompts in those text files. After you have this set up, that stays as a star. This is whatever number you chose, which if you have 20 images, 5 works good. Hit create embedding. I accidentally checked that, then I unchecked it, whatever. And it goes really fast. If I go into my Stable Diffusion folder and then embeddings, I'll see that it made this. If you ever accidentally start training with the wrong model, delete that file, Control-C to break your running console, close and reopen your browser. That's going to clear the wrong training out of the memory, and then make the embedding again. Just trust me. Save yourself some time. And now moving on to the next step. I'm skipping create hyper network because I think you need those crazy like 48 gig VRAM GPUs to do that, and it doesn't give you that much better results. Now we need to do pre-process images. This part seems harder than it really is. You go to your Birme zip file, that's 512 by 512, right click it and hit extract to Birme 512 by 512, and you get this folder with all your 512 images, and double check them. Go through them, make sure none of them are grainy or you cropped it funny. I've done that. Like this one's still okay. I could have slid it over to the right a little bit more, but at least your whole face is in it. We're going to copy paste this path to the folder to right here. Press tab so that you're in the next one. Paste, and then type dash processed. It's going to make it auto-magically make the processed folder you need. Leave this alone, leave this alone, leave that alone. Check use blip for caption. And before you go, make sure everything's right. I'm on the preprocess images tab. I got the source directory. I've got the destination directory with dash processed. 512, 512, ignore. Use blip for caption is the only thing checked. Hit preprocess. And just wait for it, and now it's going. This goes real fast once it gets started. Now you got the new 512 by 512 process folder. Open that, and you're going to see a bunch of picture files next to text files. And I use the Windows button on the keyboard and the right arrow to put that over to the right side. Open up the first one that always starts with 00000-0, and I hit Windows button left to put that on the left. And you open up this text file, and this is what it was able to interpret from the file. So a woman with a necklace, okay, that's right, on her neck, posing for a picture with a white background and gray wall. That's fine. I'm going to leave that one alone. In Irfanview, I'm going to hit right, and go to the next one. A woman with a blue shirt and white earrings on her head and a purple background with a purple backdrop. That's fine. What's happening right here is it's using those vectors that you defined, giving you more space for it to define what that picture is. And vectors per token. One token could do more than one thing that the AI understands, if that makes sense. So a woman, that's a token. You know, a blue shirt, that's a token. And you see over here, it's filled up the rest of its memory for that by defining the background twice. That's fine. But what you basically want to do is look for stuff that it's describing in the prompt that is actually not part of her. Like if I don't say in every single file, a woman with dark brown hair, it's going to overtrain that, and I won't be able to give the Amber Midthunder face blonde hair, for example. So I would go in here and say a woman with a necklace and change it to a woman with long, dark, or you can say brown hair and a white background and a gray wall. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Oops. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but if I see something notable, I'm going to show you. As I'm going down, I'm double checking that this number here is the same as this when I edit them. A close-up of a person with a cell phone in their hand and a cell phone in their hand. No. A close-up of a woman with brown hair looking off to the side. And I'm going to erase the rest of it because I don't see anything that would make the AI think that she has a cell phone. So it might be misinterpreting the shape of her face for all I know. This prompt is perfect, and sometimes it'll say a black shirt, and you've cropped it so much, like a lot of actresses will go to a press event with a dress that has no shoulders, and it'll think they have a black shirt, and you look, there's no black shirt, and then you see, oh wait, and yes they do, and you see like the edge of a black shirt. So make sure you see it in there before you erase it out of the prompt. I didn't really have any other problems with any of the other prompts, except I kept seeing this with a serious look on her face, like, that's her normal face! Stable Diffusion! Ah! Whatever, it does this to everybody. Now we're done with all that, come to the train tab, and then the train tab down here. Hit refresh right here, and you'll have that embedding file that you set up earlier when we were on the create embedding folder. And the learning rate, I'm going to put all these numbers and symbols, and I'll explain it, because it looks crazy. What's going on? Here I've separated the same thing, but I press enter after every comma. So for the first 10 steps, it's going to run at 0.05 speed. Then for 10 steps, up until step 20, it's 0.02, and then it slows down, etc. And I have actually had success with this rate, so I'm going to start with that one. Batch size, I'm going to choose 2. On an RTX 3090, you can actually put a 10 there, because all the batch size does is do a bunch of training all at once, because you got enough VRAM to hold it. If you have a GPU with 8 gigs of RAM, you got to put a 1 there. If you only have 4 or 6, you're probably not going to be training and embedding. Gradient accumulation steps, I'm going to do 2. Sometimes 3 or 4 will work, but start with 2, and then if you want to try 3 or 4, try it as a separate file. You like, when you create your embedding, put like a -v2 or whatever, or something else to indicate the difference between them. But I'm going to show you what happens with the different ones. Here's Anna Grace Barlow, where I did 512-v2 or v3, v4 for, so I would remember which one was 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4. I'm going to do a Google image search of her face so you can see what I'm talking about. So here she is right there. When I did a gradient accumulation steps 1, you see it was like starting to get the shape of her face up at step 3100. And I might have said, okay, that's good. But I did an experiment and tried it with 2. And see how much better that is? Her eyes got a little funky there, even worse there. Gradient accumulation steps. For me, I chose 3. I really like these 2. That's 1,000 steps and 3,100 steps. But then 4 gradient accumulation steps. You tell me what you think in the comments. Because my opinion is going to gradient accumulation steps 4 is too far away from her. But 1 was too far away from her as well. It looks like a person, but it doesn't look like her. And the reason why this looks so different from that is because the training speed is so much faster down here, as I explained with these numbers. And as we get up past 3,000, this training speed is stupid slow. And past 3,000, it's even slower, ridiculously. It's half that speed and stays at this speed for the rest of the time. Dataset directory. That's going to be the folder with your 5x12 by 512 images that have been processed with the prompt files. Put that in. And this, I don't like leaving that because it leaves it in the default folder inside of Stable Diffusion. And that's when it outputs the actual training data it makes. So I don't lose that. I paste the same path in. I take that Birme 512 by 512 process stuff off of the end. Sorry, can't talk. So that the output will create a folder right here with a date on it. And inside of that date folder will be a folder named after the embedding. So I can keep all my training stuff together. For prompt template, we're going to use the custom subject file words that we created earlier a few steps ago. Max steps is 5,000. You might not even need all 5,000. 50 on both of these boxes. That means save an image every 50 steps to the drive, so you can monitor the training that way. And then another 50 on this box, which means save an embedding file every 50 steps. And the reason is because it might get overtrained at a certain point and you want to go back and use the previous file. You want this unchecked, checked, unchecked, checked. So save images with embedding in PNG chunks, shuffle tags by comma when creating prompts, and dropout tags, you want to change this to 0.1 and select deterministic under the sampling method. Before you start it, double check that everything is correct. 1.5 pruned, Amber Mint Thunder 512, default learning rate disabled to 2, full path, that path, custom, 5000 5050, check, check. Also, make this notes file. I made this ahead of time because I knew what I was going to do. Go in here and write all these numbers in. So in case you want to change something later, you can have reference to what you did the previous time. And then once you have all that set up, hit train embedding. Scroll up, you'll see this stuff move and change. You also want to keep an eye on this because this one progress bar went by real fast and now it's doing another one. If it doesn't run, if it gives you an error or saying something about memory, you want to hit Control-C to break the process and then close the browser, run it again, wait for it to run, and then reopen the browser. If it does it again, restart the computer. It's rare. It does it to me like twice a week, and I'm constantly training these faces to teach myself how to do this. All right, see where it says step and then a number? Now we're going to monitor it. You can monitor it by looking at these pictures. That's one way to do it. And you can go into the log folder it made right here and go to images if you want to go from one to the next to see how it's improving. But looking at numbers is really easy too. Go to this batch file that you downloaded from my repository earlier, embedding, show loss, and inspect. Double click that to run it. And we have to use option F first. So hit F and hit enter. And we have to give it this training folder or log folder. So put your cursor at the top with Alt-D and then Control-C to copy it, the whole path. Paste it over here with right click, hit enter. And we can look at the loss. And I set the threshold for 0.06. Values found below 0.06, only 1. Well, that's pretty good because it's only done 4 outputs so far. If I do show loss again and type a 1, for example, it shows you the numbers of all of them. Create graphs. If I hit 2, a guy's script creates a couple graphs. They look like this. These are loss points. And whatever the frick this means, but the learn rate's there if you need that. And all it did was go inside of the embeddings where it's spitting out these embedding files and analyzed them. And then there's option 3, which I use a lot, because you want the strength to be below 0.2. Oh, shoot. It's already that high. Dang it. So I'm going to hit Control-C to terminate that. And then I'm going to close the browser. Then I'm going to Stable Diffusion folder, embeddings, and I'm going to delete that embedding that I made earlier. And usually this doesn't do that to me, but this time it did. So I've reopened the browser and now I can type web UI-vanilla.bat, hit enter. And we look at this guy who made the script. He says, in my experiences, a value greater than 0.2 is when embedding starts to become inflexible. Your results will vary. So what does inflexible mean? Well, it's overtrained. So for example, if I have Zooey Deschanel and her natural hair color is brunette, but I want to make some more Christmas pictures of her from the movie Elf, and her hair was blonde in that movie, and I want her to wear a blue dress for whatever reason, but none of the training photos I have of her have a blue dress, and all of them have her brown hair. The more it's trained on her data set, the less likely I'll be able to use a prompt to change it to blue dress with blonde hair. So now this is running. I'm gonna run this again. Go to train. Amber Mid Thunder 512 5. Create embedding. The reason why I deleted the other one was because even though it says overwrite, I've had problems where it retrains the old data. And that's also why I closed and reopened everything. So I don't need to do pre-process images again. I'm gonna go to train. And this is the rate schedule. I'm actually gonna take these first 2 off the beginning. And if this one turns out to be too slow, I can train it with this. But I'm gonna try this one. Put that in there. I'm gonna go into my notes. Strength was too high, trying this. And I hit Control-S to save it. Embedding, Amber Mid Thunder. And then I'm gonna fill out the rest of this thing. So again, I double checked so I don't screw anything up. 1.5 pruned, Amber Mid Thunder 512. The different rate that I put in that starts at 60, disabled 2, path, custom, 512, 512, 5000, 50, 50, uncheck, check, uncheck, check, 0.1, deterministic train embedding. Give that like 5 minutes and then check the strength. Well, I didn't say this part, but I actually went in here and I deleted this folder before I started the training again. So I don't want it to get confused or use any of that old stuff. All right, I stepped away to get a drink of water and came back. We're at step 290, about to hit 300. There's 300. That looks kind of like Amber Mid Thunder. And hit enter. That's really good. Look at that. Those are really good numbers. Now, if it stays that low, I would have to play around with the numbers some more. But let's look at the show loss. and there's only one good value, so show loss again with the number 1 as the threshold. Ooh, there's a 0.02 in there, and a 0.07. So there's about an hour left on that. I'm tired. Busy day for me. I have a full-time job and I do the YouTube stuff on the side. I'm going to come back tomorrow and check on this and record and let you guys know the results. So here's a weird transition into the future. All right, this next day, just got home from work. Let's see how we did. Now here's the strength, and it's got nowhere near 2, but let's see which one of these embeddings it's created are really good. So I'm going to go back and show the loss and grab a few of these. 4700 looks real good. You go into the log folder it created right here. Go into there, go into embeddings. Scroll down, grab that one. What other ones do I want to try? 4400, that looks real low. 2250. I think that's good for now. I'll grab those. Where are you, 2250? And what I'm doing is I'm holding the control button down on the keyboard, so when I click multiple ones, those are the only ones selected, and then I hit Control C to copy. Go over to my Stable Diffusion folder and then embeddings and paste those in. Now I'm going to go to Civit AI, and at Civit AI I'm going to go to Realistic Vision, just trying to find a good picture that has a prompt I can use. This looks really interesting. A stunning full color photo of... This person is making a bunch of locons of celebrities. I don't know how to make those. That would be interesting. But I'm going to download this picture and see if it's possible for me to make a really good picture out of this and change it to Amber Mint Thunder, of course. I press Alt up, Alt up, Alt up. So I'm back in my main folder for that model. Copy paste that path over here and save it. I go to Stable Diffusion, PNG Info tab, drag this image over. All the generation information is in there. Doop. I'm going to turn high res off and just immediately generate and see what comes out. That looks completely different, but there's 2 things we need to do. First, we need to Control C to terminate Stable Diffusion on the console, and then do WebUI-user, the one that has got the Xformers and the other argument in there. No half, right there, see that? Now that it's loaded, I'm going to change the model over to Realistic Vision, like that, and wait for that to load up. I'm going to hit Generate again, and all I'm doing is confirming that this prompt gives me something I can work with. Now, this is a more interesting picture than the one I had before because it's brought the face in closer so I could see it, but she'll probably turn around. So I'm going to delete that and see if there's anything in the prompt I don't want, like beige tight pants, I don't care. After character composition, dark aviator jacket, that's interesting. Airport hanger, that's all interesting. And these are artists. Okay, we'll leave that alone. And I'm going to go into Show Hide Extra Networks and go into Texture 1 version embeddings and look for realistic. Get the Realistic Vision negative embedding and cut paste it down here with the comma after blurry. I'm also going to add a couple that you guys can find yourself, and then I'm going to press Control Enter, which is the same as hitting Generate. Now that face is a little weird, but that's fine for now. I'm going to leave this alone and change the batch count to 10 and hit Control Enter. Why I'm doing that is because I want a good sample selection, because, you know, the best testing methodology is if you can get a seed that generates a picture of like this, so you can make sure that like, but that one right there might work, but she's wearing sunglasses. This one definitely, if it makes a fair enough looking face. This one, she's a little far away. Well, I think that one is probably be the one I'm going to use. I'm going to go over and find the one I saw I liked earlier, this one. That is a really good picture. Hit this recycle button to keep the seed. So I want to try a couple other clip skips on it. So I'm going to go to XYZ plot, clip, skip, and then type 2, 3. Let's try those. I made a mistake. I left the batch count at 10, so I'm going to turn that back down to 1, hit interrupt, hit generate. And now it's not showing them here for some reason. Maybe I glitched it by canceling the last one. So I'm going to hit that folder button right here, and that opens up the output folder, and go to text to images, and nothing's in there. What the glitch? Anyways, I'm going to try this because I saw the one I liked, and I think it was 3. Turn XYZ plot to none, hit generate. Change the script to none. Good, it output a picture this time. What the heck? Now the next thing I want to do is address the low sampling steps. This model is really good in 70s or above, so I'm going to try 75. All the ones that say DPM at the beginning are good around that range. Very interesting. So now Let's put the cursor at the beginning and go to here, hit refresh, type amber. Try this low one, 2200. Put this at the beginning, hit generate. Meanwhile, while it does that, I'm going to change the script back to XYZ plot and change it to prompt find and replace, or search and replace. Type 2200, comma, and I want the other two in there. So you want to put them all the different ones you want to try. So what we're doing is search and replace is we're replacing 2200 with this, 4400, and then 4700, and just like that. But look at this one. I'll leave that open, and I'll hit Control Enter. This is how we're making this more time efficient, by rendering while we're looking at the other one. That's a really good face generation, I think. In my opinion, the body shape is what she looks like. Right click this, open in a new tab, hit Control plus on the keyboard. Look at the faces. That's the most important thing. And then another thing to look at is hands. 2200 is looking great though. It looks to me like 4700 is getting away. So I can actually check if it's, getting away from what her face looks like. I can actually check if it's overtrained by giving it something that I don't see in 4700 that I do see a lot of in 2200. Like she's smiling. Okay, let's put smiling. I'm going to put it in this parenthesis part that gives it more emphasis. Smiling. And let's see if it'll let me change her hair color. Long blonde hair. Anything else? Jacket. Dark aviator jacket. Dark vintage. If I can spell. Vintage aviator jacket from the 1960s. Let's see if we're able to check if it's overtrained or not. Because if all three of them get blonde hair, it's not overtrained. And we can actually try training it some more. And they didn't... What is going on? They're not coming out. It looks to me... I've never seen this before. It's the opposite problem. It's forgotten what Amber Mid-Thunder looks like. On all of them on this one. Oh, somehow this became unchecked. Always save all generated images. Interesting. Never mind. Okay. I got better results with the blonde hair one by doing a trick I figured out where you put the name of the embedding twice to give it more weight. I'm starting to think that these are overtrained in some sort of odd way from being trained too slowly? Not sure. So let's try something. Let's go back in here. I have seen some that only needed like 800 steps of training. So let's grab 700 and 1250. Just those two, I think. Put them over here. Hit F2 to get the name of that one. Control Enter. Let's see what all 5 of these look like next to each other. It looks a lot like her in 700, and then it starts to move away from looking like her in 1250. Actually, no, looking at it closer. Okay, this is 700, going back and forth between them. And this is 1250. I want to see what I can do with 700. Oh, I'm inserting this now because I just realized something. I got it to actually output all of the images, and the reason was a setting became unchecked for me. So if you go to settings, saving images / grids, add number to file name when saving, because this thing that I told you about earlier, if you're generating multiple images with the same model name and seed, they're going to override each other and only make one file on the end. See, now it's putting these numbers at the beginning, which is going to make unique file names so I can have them all. I'll turn the script off down here, generate it, and when it's done generating, I'm going to save that file. I'll go back to the model folder where I'm keeping all my stuff. I'm going to copy that path, open that up, right click it, hit save image as, paste, and all I have to do is save that and go back, grab this, Control C to copy it, Alt Tab, and what I'm doing is I'm renaming it to be that. Then, this is super imperative because my next step is I want to train that embedding file, but I need a backup of it. So I'm going to take it out of here, put it right here. So you should have your PNG with the matching embedding file in here with your example that you started and did all your prompt engineering work from all together in case you need them later. Now I'm going to be doing more training, so I'm going to hit Control C to stop this. I'm not running WebUI user again. If you guessed right, it's WebUI-vanilla. Now it's running, I'm going over to the train tab, then the train tab under there, hit refresh under embedding. Look for Amber Mid Thunder 512 700. Looking at the notes, this is why I got trained so slowly. I didn't have that one on there, which is 0.02. And I've seen people use 0.04 as a training, but I'm still thinking that's a little fast, so I'm not sure. Let me see. This is too fast. That's too fast. 0.04 is not much slower than that. Half of 0.02 is 0.01, and I'm starting at 700. So what if I did this? 0.05 up to step 900. Change that, speed it up to 0.01, and then comma 0.05, which is half of that for the rest of the remaining steps. Copy paste that over. Easy negative. I didn't know what? No. Before I get ahead of myself, I realize this is on the wrong embedding. I'm gonna grab 700, and just because I'm a little paranoid, I'm gonna delete all the other ones because I'm not using those. Don't like those. Refresh. Okay, 2, 2. I'm gonna go to the notes over here and put round 2, and then using. Type out which embedding you're using. Copy paste your rate. And now since I did 5,000, let's do 10,000. All right, I got 1.5 pruned. Amber Mid Thunder 512-700. Rate 2.2. Full path. Custom file words. 10,000, 50, 50. Uncheck, check, uncheck, check. 0.1 deterministic train embedding. And I double check my notes afterwards that I got all the important stuff in there. I'm going to see the results after this, and I'm not going to put you through all the different testing that I do. I'm just going to show you what I've decided to do. All right, another weird cut to the future. Let's do waving in the arms in the air or something. And I'm back. Okay. And here's the result from the one I chose, obviously, and how I chose it was I looked at the strength, and it got above 0.2 at step 1700. I ended up going back to show loss, and I looked through all these numbers, and I ended up picking these 900, 1150, 1300, 1700, and 1850. Tested all of them and ended up liking 1700 the best, though I think it could have done better. If I wanted to spend more time on this, I could, but I would just honestly start over with what I've learned from my notes. And I also tested it in a few models, and this is what it looks like. Some look better than others, and it's obviously because I didn't tweak the settings and the parameters for each one, because they're all different and they have different ways you treat them. That one actually looks like Amber Mid Thunder a lot, and that's called Proto-Gen Photorealism. That's the name of that model if you want to look it up. And these are not upscaled either. And this one is Realistic Vision again. But that's it for this video, and tell me, which one should I figure out how to train next? LoRa's or actual models? And what that is a LoRa is kind of like an embedding, and a model is different pros and cons. It's like you only have that person that you can make with it, but you could use LoRa's for different styles and things and apply to it. Let me know in the comments, and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. And there's end screen stuff. Yeah, you know, here's the one where I show you how to install Stable Diffusion. And this one's whatever YouTube thinks is best based off of what you watch. And you can subscribe right here. All right, bye.